Right there, good, yeah.
Mic check.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome.
Mic check 1, 2, 3.
What's up? What's up?
Excellent.
What's good? Are we good?
Nice.
Okay, great.
So you can stop anytime.
This one? She watching into this one.
Yeah, but you talk it.
Okay
You
then.
talk the entire.
All right. Nice.
Mhm.
Should I reposition this to face you?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you said.
No. Just leave
Yeah.
it there. You're good. You're good. You're good.
All right.
Okay, we recording already? Okay. Hello and welcome back to the Tenaciously Resolute podcast. I'm your girl, Carice Nelson, and today with me is my good friend, Mr. Punjit, as we know him in Tobago,
Yes.
but his real name is Tiffano Jessop. Welcome. How are you going?
I am well. I feel honored to be on your podcast. All right.
And I appreciate you coming. So Tiffano here, Pundit here, my good friend here is here to share his story about his journey with domestic violence. And he is a proud survivor of what would have occurred. So seeing that we would have touched on this topic earlier in the podcast, we thought that it was necessary to give a balanced view of how it could look like from a male's point of view. So today, I hope you stick around and journey with us as we discuss some things that you may need to know to save another person when it comes to domestic violence or intimate partner violence. So, Tiffano,
Yes.
tell me a little bit about your background for those who may not know you.
Oh, well, originally from Trinidad, moved to Tobago like about 18 years now. So I'm a Tobagonian by boat.
Of course.
I full claim for Tobago, represent Tobago in anything I do, right? I work at a Magdalena Hotel, and I'm an e-sport athlete. I would write songs, music. I have a small business, a little punch business, and I'm also a registered farmer, but I'm not active with that currently. So
Okay.
I do things for community and island. That's how I operate.
Okay, very nice. That's cool though. That's a little bit of a lot of things. That's very interesting. So tell me, how was childhood for you?
For me, growing up, I was surrounded by a lot of family, right? Because big, huge household. My mother was the first of like 9, and then I the first grandchild for my grandmother. So it's a big household, aunties, uncles, and so forth. But I would have moved around a lot
Okay.
with my mom. I did not grow up with my father, right? He reconnected a few years ago after me not seeing him for 20 years. So
Oh.
we're trying to build that father-son relationship. So feeling that absence of not growing up with your father, I always had it at the back of my mind. If I'm to have a child someday, I don't want them to experience that absence of
Yeah,
a
that-
father being there.
Was it like a void for you?
Yes, it was a void. My mom did her utmost best. I have to give her full credit for playing the boat roles, working extra jobs, making sure I have what I need for school. Whether we were moving around or she wasn't there, she was working, she would send money, She did an awesome job.
You sound very passionate about children. What's the reason behind that?
I think I just had a natural thing, like growing up, like kids just naturally gravitate towards me. I think growing up like in the community, playing marble pitch, sweeping the yard, and all the neighbors come across, is I just always close knit, surrounded by a lot of friends and people, and then children just always had a natural gravitation towards me. And my brother and my sister, they kind of grew up with me, weaning them, taking care of them and stuff
Okay.
at a young age.
Okay, so you kind of had that fatherhood
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
Okay, nice. So, as an adult, you would have entered into relationships and those type of things.
Yes.
How was your experience with those things?
I would say my experience, it was good most times. I've always had the mindset that if I am going into a relationship, it's not just I never saw it as just a relationship. I saw it as, how can I add value to this person's life?
Okay.
I didn't know how to identify it at the time, but now I see it as having more knowledge. Is like you end up bouncing up two main type of persons when it comes to relationship: builders or breakers.
Okay.
Whether it's you're conscious of it or not, or they make it known or not. Some people might just come into your life to take, and they might not make it that obvious. But some people will come to build, and you will know who the builders are. The way they speak to you, the way they talk to you, the way they ask about, what your dreams and your goals are. So I've always been that person when I'm in a relationship, trying to, we together, but I want to push you forward. So whether or not it works out, I need to see you in a better place than when we came together.
Oh, that's so cool. And I think a lot of people would appreciate having that type of support in and around them. But you would have probably encountered some breakers. What would have happened there?
I would say it wasn't like huge breakers. If I using the term to refer to how it ended, it was like I was fortunate to find myself in a lot of long distance relationships. I don't know why it used to work. I don't know, it's because of me enjoying personal space, being by myself, or I'm always busy doing things. But even though someone I'm with someone and they're miles away, we also always had great communication. Whether it's phone, whether it's Skype back then, whatever the case may be, communication, I saw that as such a key thing. And the communication would always be there. Morning, how you going, what you up to, whatever the case may be. It was constant. So even though they were miles away, it felt close. But eventually in those settings, there will come a time, which we discussed before, we don't know how long it will last, but eventually, the distance, I can't take it anymore. And
it fades
that
off.
tends to, yeah.
I get you. So, how you find yourself in the predicament and the pickle that you would have gotten into to end up being a survivor of domestic violence? Because so far, it seems like you've had a fairly normal encounter of relationships.
Well.
Well.
Before this encounter, I would say I've never had experiences with being in an abusive relationship. Personally, I've never had the experience. I would have seen stuff while growing up.
Like
right?
what?
Like being with my mom being in relationships and, the men in the home and so forth. Growing up, I would have witnessed it more than once, my mom being a victim.
Oh.
And there were times where I was too small to do anything, and I couldn't do anything. I don't even understand what's happening really. I have no say in the matter, and it wouldn't be addressed, and it would just kind of fade from memory.
Okay.
Right? And then later on, I think I could vividly remember 3 different relationships that my mom were in that, the men were abusive, but I couldn't do anything. Right? Because I couldn't really comprehend what's happening.
Yeah.
And there was a significant one while she was in Tobago, actually, and I got wind of it. What happened, I was pursuing my CXC at the time, and my family didn't want me to know what was happening with my mom while she was in Tobago. And somehow I got the information, and I found out the person that she was with, lashed out at her, and she was like in a shelter. And my family didn't want me to know because it was around exam times. And when I found out around that time, I couldn't function. I couldn't go to some of my exams. It was total rock bottom because of how close my mother and I still are.
Yeah,
and that affected me. It hit me hard at that time, and I couldn't function. People around me didn't know what was happening. I was like, hey, he's so good in technical drawing, but he never showed up for your exam. Yeah.
Yeah,
it hit me real hard. And at that time, all my mind could think about is how am I going to get to Tobago? I need to be there for mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually came to Tobago a short while after, when I was 16. And that individual, eventually, while being in the home, that was the first time I can remember fighting back a man for hitting my mom.
Yeah.
And police would have to come and so forth. And then we'd have moved out from that area and moved somewhere else by ourselves. Just my mom and I with my sister.
So that was a whole big deal.
That was a whole big deal. That hit me hard, seeing it, as a child, as a 16-year-old. And then when I started working, my mom would have ended up in another relationship, and the guy, he was moving normal at the start, and then it gravitated towards him becoming abusive. And at that point, that was the first time I almost got violent against another human being. right? I felt like I wanted to end him. I'm a landlord and I'm talking out of it. I went back, I came downstairs and I told him, listen, you need to move out. 16 going on 17. You need to roll because this is not gonna happen. And he came at me and I did martial arts as a child. So I don't go picking fights. I don't go picking fights. I literally don't go picking fights with people. Right? And martial arts is teach you it's a discipline. Not because you're trained to fight, you go looking for fights.
Sure.
But if you're in a situation where you need to defend yourself or defend someone, that's where you would use your martial arts. Right? And I did use my martial arts at that time, and I locked his neck, swept him on the ground, had him in a headlock. And my mom was begging, don't kill him, don't kill him, don't kill him. And I heard her voice and I kind of released him because he was kind of losing, fading. And he got up and he looked at me in shock.
Well, I suppose he would be
he's taller than me. He was taller than me. He was stronger than me. And he was just like, this just happened. This little guy is dangerous. And put him out and he had to move out. And I took up that mantle from there of making sure I could support my mother in whatever way necessary.
So in some ways, you were almost like a protector as you got older.
Yes, definitely. And because of those experiences, I would have made this oath. I would not hit a woman. Like seeing it happen to my mom, I can't add to that. I made that oath. No matter what happens, I will not strike a woman because I see what it did to my mom. Yeah.
Totally understand. But that brings me to this point. It happened to you.
Right.
So how did you end up in the midst of something like that? I
couldn't predict it. I couldn't see it happening, but it did, and I will tell you. So met this individual, this girl, and we became friends quickly, and we would have long conversations and exchange personal experience, what happened to you as a child and stuff like that. And the conversations, it was like you have a healthy conversation with a friend. And we quickly became put friends that you could trust with information. I've trusted friends with information in the past that they never used against me. So that's how it was brewing. And, obviously getting to know each other, certain things would be discussed. So I would have expressed that. Not looking for a relationship right now, a single, happy, whatever the case may be. But the individual pushed towards that, and we decided, well, friends with benefits. And in doing so, you would try to do the right thing and use your protection.
Also, you will have enjoying the benefits.
I would say we're human.
Yeah.
Right? And we got intimate and I used protection, and then the second time, while attempting to use protection, she said, no, you could trust me, whatever. My guard was down. Because up to that point in us talking and conversating and, and she spending time at my place, clean up my whole apartment, the place looking nice when I come from work, you're cooking food, whatever, but you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, there were no signs, right?
To me, this setup sounds like it was great.
For me, it was like, you're growing into this friendship that, but I specifically expressed that I didn't want a relationship. But I didn't know at the time that I was marked. Stick up in, I'll get back to that. And in doing so, when she told me, no, you can trust me, it's fine, whatever the case may be, I did. Oh my God. And short while after, she sent me the pregnancy tests. 3 pregnancy tests. She said that she's pregnant and XYZ and what you want to do. And I was like, okay, everything that's unraveled, I pull on the thread. Part of the personal conversations I would have expressed to her, a very intimate conversation my mother and I had, where my mother expressed that while she was pregnant with me, her in-laws didn't like her and they wanted her to have an abortion.
Oh. And
she said, no, I'm keeping my child. So when I didn't have a voice, my mother spoke for me.
Yeah, definitely.
And that resonated with me. That was, to me, that's a different level of love. Where, I'm not here yet, but my mother, she knew I'm on the way and she's protecting me.
Yeah, mothers typically advocate for their children. They don't back down at all.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that experience stayed with me. And I was pro-life before that. And I was even more pro-life after my mom shared that with me. So I would say one day, when you meet the right person and you have a child, it's something I'm looking forward to, right? But then I was shocked that, I was like, oh, obviously, how you get pregnant so quick, XYZ? And then she revealed to me what happened. She said she checked how she was ovulating and she knew she had a high chance to get pregnant, and that's why she convinced me not to use protection.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and you voluntarily had
So
did the deed.
what I'm saying is that when I stick the pin, I didn't know I was marked.
Yeah.
Because if I told you not looking for a relationship, and I told you this intimate thing that happened with myself and my mom, how she protected me, she knew that this guy will do anything to protect an innocent life. She knew it.
Okay.
Right? And she used whatever I told her to make sure she could manipulate me into the relationship. And I said to her, I see what you're doing.
But I have a question though. Because before you establish a relationship, you really have to consent to wanting to do that, even if a person is pregnant, right? Was it that you felt like you were being coerced into this direction, or were you not able to stand your ground to be like, okay, well, I'm going to take care of this child, but I maybe do not still want this relationship? How
you hit the nail on the head. I addressed it immediately. I said, trying to baby trap somebody to force them into a relationship will not work. Excuse me. I said, if you want, I said, child on the way, no problem. I will do everything I need to do as a man, as a parent, to take care of you and this child. You could go to your place. It's fine. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of the child that's on the way. And that's when she switched up and she said, well, she's feeling suicidal. She says she will throw away the child, whatever the case may be. And I was like, I can't take the chance and call her bluff and say, well, go ahead and do it.
Oh.
Because if I say I'm pro-life, if I say this is the stance that I'm taking, then I need to stay true to that, right? And I decided I said, listen, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that child gets here safely. And I'm telling you that to your face. I told her that to her face.
How did she take that?
She didn't take it well.
I don't want to
I think
understand.
she actually laughed.
Explain
like
that
if
to
I
me.
was joking, she laughed. If I'm a mad person, her mind was already made up.
To do what?
To make sure she pulls on that card that, hey, if you don't allow me to stay in your place, I'm suicidal. Anytime I could kill myself, you kill myself, you kill my child, right? Or the constant threats she would send me messages, about the whole abortion thing, and it got to me. And I told myself, my mom protected me when I didn't have a voice. The child on the way needs me to protect them because they don't have a voice. And in so doing, she stayed, and then I moved from where I was to another location, not realizing that was also part of a plan to isolate me from friends and family.
But did she recommend the move, or what was that?
She did things to force me to move from where I was. She did questionable things to irritate my landlord. So my landlord came and say that something went missing. Things were missing by my landlord because it's me downstairs and they are still like family to me where I was at the time, and they would go away and give me the keys for the house and the other building that they have and so forth. So we're like family. I would take vacation. I'll take care of the dogs, the pit bulls in the yard and stuff. It's like family. And she knew she couldn't get her way with those people around me. They live upstairs, I downstairs, that kind of setting. She wanted me away from all of that to continue with her plans that I didn't know that she had.
Okay, so you would have said that isolation would have been part of it, but what else would have occurred?
Well, there were constant threats in between while her forcing the situationship to work, right? Because she already knew what was happening. I knew what was happening. They forcing me. You manipulated me to stay and constantly threatening to have an abortion. And I'm here to take care of you. Right, we're moving to another place, with everything I have and you have and so forth.
So you all moved in together?
Yes. Baby on the way. I want to take care of you, XYZ, as I said I would do. And it started with the isolation from my friends and family. And now I'm in this place, and then the invasion of my privacy into my phone, WhatsApp web in my phone, seeing all my informations, all my information she would have seen. Every time I pop online, what are you doing online? If you're not talking to me, who are you talking to? When I realized, hey, it's getting more and more serious, I would see my friends physically and tell them, listen, don't message my phone, don't call me. I'm going through something right now. I don't want you all to get involved. because I know I'm not just protecting my child out of the way. I'm protecting my friends from the situation. I don't know why I felt like I need to protect my friends from the situation. I don't know if it's because she started to get loud and show me signs that she would be willing to get physically violent, and I don't want my friends to get involved and come to my place and they damage her and my child out on the way. So that's how I felt.
Okay. So you kind of felt somewhat trapped? Was that the case?
Yes.
Okay.
So, you go to work, you had to do your job, you had to smile, right? But you never know what somebody deal with. And then it escalated into financial violence where I would, buy groceries for the home. She would stop buy groceries. And even though she stopped buy groceries, I would buy more groceries with whatever cash I had. I would buy food for her to eat. I would cook. She had severe acid reflux at the time, so she would vomit almost everything. But I'm there, I'm taking care of her, rubbing her belly, washing clothes, literally doing everything as the pregnancy kept going along. But I was going through it. And it reached a point where it got really physical. And I was leaving to go to work, and she started an argument. And I was like, I need to go to work. I don't have time for this right now. And she's blocking the door. And I said, actually, I wasn't going to work. As I recall now, I wasn't going to work at the time. We were having an argument, and she said, well, if you want to leave, you can leave. Woo! I was like, hey, ticket out. She's telling me I can leave. I couldn't believe it. I was like, well, okay. So I went to the wardrobe to start to pack my clothes to leave. And she's like, what are you doing? I was like, you just said I could leave. And she was like, no, you're not leaving. I said, but you just said I could leave. And I continued to pack my clothes. And she's like, hey, where you going? And she ran into me and she grabbed my neck. And she started choking me. So I spin her like, woman, what you doing? Well, my voice muffled again. She's like, what you doing? What you doing? Let go. She was like, no, where you going? Ting. And there was a split second I wanted to hit this woman. And then she said something that it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, she said, well, hit me in my belly. Yeah. And I was like, oh. I'm not just saying joke. You want me to damage you. You want to make a report to make it sound like if I'm an abuser. Right? And I was like, oh, okay, I'll let on my hands. And I'm not going to hit you. Eventually, she let me go from the choking.
Yeah.
Couldn't sleep properly that night. A few days after, she was trying to work in between, and she went to work. And I packed some stuff, called her brethren, and I left. Disappeared for a few days, put my phone on airplane mode. Well, obviously, I worried.
Yeah.
And eventually, I allowed her to message me. And she said she wanted to meet on the mall and talk it out, or whatever the case. I obliged, went, tried to talk it out. Got physical on the mall again, grabbed me. A police was passing nearby. I explained to him the situation. I say, this one put her hand on me, I leave the home, And she trying to talk it out here now, and you see what she doing.
Yeah.
She holding me back. She don't want me to leave. Like, she trying somehow to get me to lash. And the police, talk to her and get convince her to let me go. And he sat outside that mall and talked for 3 hours, and this woman begged and cried to get me to move back in to take care of her because she's pregnant. And I looked at her there and then and I said, I don't know if you're going to change. I don't think you're going to change, right? But I'll move back in to take care of you and my child that's on the way. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, right? But this is the reason why I'll be moving back in to take care of you and my child.
Yeah. At what point in the pregnancy was that?
Oh, I think it was about 4 months or something like that.
Okay, so you still had a long journey to go.
Yeah.
How did things go forward from there?
When I moved back in, things were normal to a sense. A few weeks, I think a month. It's fuzzy with the time. Probably at 2 months. And then eventually there was a turning point where I had a dream that feeling like the apartment on fire and somebody running me down with a knife. And I woke up and I told her about it. I said I had a dream. XYZ transpired, and the way how you're behaving, I don't know what could happen. I think it's best if you leave. go by your mom, whatever the case may be. Again, I will come and take care of you, XYZ. She just brushed it off. And then a few days after that dream, it was a Sunday, and her daughter was by us at the time, spending some time, and like 9 years old or something around that age. And her daughter and I were kind of growing close because her father wasn't here on the island. Very intelligent young girl. And I was trying to leave for work at that time. And she started another argument and she blocked the door. And she didn't want me to leave. And then she rushed at me, went to the chest drawer and grabbed a small knife and was blocking the door. So I couldn't pass. And I just verbally mustered up whatever patience I had to calmly explain to her that this is not the way you want this to go down.
Yeah.
We talked it out for about 20 minutes. We were like arguing. And then I hit the nail that your daughter is outside. I don't think you want her to see this. However, it's going to play off. And eventually, she somehow put on the knife and allowed me to pass. Before I went to work, I made a report at the station. I was Chevron station at the time. And then I went to work because she was timing me what time I reached work. And then on leaving work, I left work earlier and went back to finish up the report to reach home in a time frame where she wouldn't get suspicious. Because I wanted the police to know in case anything happened, this is what happened before. In case I get killed in my sleep, I want to state this is what happened today.
Okay, so you were doing somewhat proactive moves.
Yes.
Just for security purposes.
Yes.
Okay.
When I went back home that evening, she said she couldn't move. She was laying in bed. She said she couldn't move. Apparently, she's some kind of state of paralysis. I don't know what to call it. Suddenly, I think she got a sense that I ready to come home and pack my bags on this jet. But she said she couldn't move. I said, all right. Pick her up, help her to the bathroom, bathe her, that kind of stuff. Go and finish wash and cook and whatever she needs. I couldn't sleep that night. And she wanted me to sleep in the corner of the bed, and she's at the edge. So I couldn't sleep. Sheet over my head, and I couldn't sleep because I don't know when is the next moment I'm going to lose my life. That's how I was feeling. And nobody to talk to. I was like, well, this is it. I hope my son come here.
So did things get worse from that point, or did any kind of improvement happen?
I told you that happened this Sunday. For the next 3 days or so, same thing, come home, can't sleep. Until eventually I drop asleep somehow, and I was fearful for my life. Until the Thursday, again, I was trying to get ready to go to work, and she got up she told me to lift her from the bedroom into the living room because she couldn't move. And when I did that, she went and she looked into my work bag and saw stuff in my work bag and started questioning me, like if I plan to go somewhere, like I might have clothes to change or whatever. If I plan to go somewhere, and after that, she grand charged me and asked for my phone, and I pushed my phone in my waist. And then I realized the rage that she picked up when I was shocked because whole week I couldn't walk. And suddenly I pick up rage. So she was pretending. And then I ran into the room to try and lock the door to call the police because I realized the rage she picked up with, she looking to hit me, right? And she barged through the door, grabbed a knife, and came at me. Everything happened in like probably about 8 seconds or so. She gonna charge me with the knife. And in my head, I was like, if I fight her back, I will damage this woman or damage the child that's on the way. So I used whatever defensive moves I could use from my karate training to block. As some call an upward block like this. So that's what I was doing. I kept blocking like this, and I got slasher like on my hands, and then pushed me against the window, and I get cut. And I said, I just need to reach the door. I just need to reach the door. That's what I was playing in my head. And I dart for the door, then I dart for the next door, and then I dart out the road, and then she somehow reached outside, walking quickly in the road with a knife coming at me. Called the police came, they interviewed us. They was like, how you can pick up a knife for this man? And you understand? They was in such shock. And the police told me, well, what I want to do, I say, well, since Sunday I make a report, I didn't think it would escalate this quick. At this time, I say, well, I don't feel safe in my own space, and I'll leave in. I went inside, I pick up like my work clothes, whatever. I explained to the police, these are my items here. I want to come back and collect it in one piece. Police dropped me off, took their report, and that day I had nowhere to go.
So where did you sleep? What did your friends tell you what
I
happened?
reached out to a friend, and I was just looking whole day for a place to stay. And I eventually a friend allowed me to sleep on a couch, and I did that for 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
until I found a place. But money was a problem. But I had a plan that I was doing while I was going through it.
Mm-hmm.
She knew how much money I was working for. I was giving her money when the month come. She was draining all my finances because she was buying groceries. And whatever tips I would make in work, I would give it to a coworker that I trust. I said, I hold this to me. There will come a time I will need it, and I will give you a call. So when that time came, I called that person, and that person was able to give me the money, and that helped me to try and secure a place to move in. And I'm moving in somewhere, no furniture. The landlord asked me, where your things? I was like, I'm trying to get them. So she understood what was happening, and she's like, take back some of the money that you used for the deposit and buy some stuff and try to catch yourself. And when you get back the money, you'll pay me. So I did that to buy a little 2-burner stove, buy I bought what I could to survive and to try and operate, because it's starting from like ground zero again. And she kept calling my phone nonstop 40 times a day. And I would text her like, can I have my fridge? She would say, ask one of your friends for cold storage.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it escalated from that to calling me on my job, calling my work phone. I would get stalked in public. I would get threatened in public.
So what were the actionable things that you would have done to kind of get past those things?
I would say I tried my best to ignore it. There was always, because I think she was about 5 or 6 months pregnant at the time when that happened. My concern was like, gosh, I hope my son get here. Because we did ultrasound, I knew I was having a son.
Yeah.
That I couldn't be there to do what I need to do, I try to place it at the back of my mind. And, or I don't know if I mentioned it, I didn't have everything. When I went back to the apartment after the whole knife attack, 3 days after, I went back to my apartment and I saw tiles and walls. She stole everything I had.
The whole apartment
She stole everything I had. We had moved in that place and she had brought some of her stuff, but if we have 2 stoves, she got my stove. Everything I owned, pictures, documents, everything I owned, I worked for, or memories that I had, she stole everything.
Wow. So this is not alleged, this is actually happened.
No, facts. Yeah, it happened. It happened. All right. And I had to start from ground zero again. And I was just so thankful that just to be alive, like I have life. I was like, hey, God, they pulled me through, and I never thought, I didn't see the way out, But apparently that was the way out. I couldn't see that, I couldn't fathom it, but that was the way out. And started from scratch. I started from ground zero.
How did you manage your emotions?
I didn't know how to. I would bottle everything inside. For me, one of my coping mechanisms would have been online gaming. But she stole my computer. So I didn't have an outlet for that. I would try to find whatever sports I could play. I enjoy cycling. She stole my bike, even though she can ride a bike. The bike was actually a big blow because she wanted to make me suffer. So being that I used to farm in the past, I would ride to the garden, I would ride to work to cut costs on passage and re-dive with funds. So I walked to work for 8 months in 2020.
Wow.
1 hour and a half to work, 1 hour and a half back. There might have been persons along the way that would have seen me and would have given me a lift all the way or half the way. If rain is falling, I would obviously try to use what passage I have to get to work because the rain is falling. I made up my mind that this experience is not going to break me. I'm going to build from this. This is not going to stop me.
So did your child arrive healthy? What happened?
My child did arrive healthy. I told her I wanted to be there for the birth, but she didn't call me when it was happening. She called me probably a day after to video call me because I had her blocked. She's called, no more call me to say unblock me so I could show you. And that's how I saw him for the first time. And well, when she stole my stuff and she disappeared, I don't know where she was, right? And
So wait, let me ask you this quick question, because you said she stole your stuff. What did the police do? Did they know? Did you just
I made
say
a report
bygones,
about
be
it.
bygones?
They called her. She denied it. She never told them where she was living. They never really pushed hard. I asked them for a copy of the report. They could have never found it when I reported my items stolen and so forth. And I'm not a materialistic person, but every item that I had was beneficial to me. I need my stove, I need my fridge, I need my bike. You understand? So it put me in a really downward spiral when it comes to my finances.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
And it would have been May in some year. I remember I got a call from her and she said, don't call her phone, don't message her. I have no access to my son until I do a DNA test. That is what she would have told me. And that prompted me to file to the court for a rights of access and a protection order as well. Because I needed access to my son.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with my father. I'm not going to allow my son to experience that as well. I didn't have money to afford a lawyer, so I went to legal aid, paid $50, signed up my documents, and eventually they attached a lawyer to my case. But before the lawyer could have been attached to my case, I had to appear in court by myself.
Yeah.
Will not advise, will not recommend.
Oh, why?
Will not
What
recommend
happened?
because you're thinking that because you have information that you deem as valid could help your case and you don't know the runnings of the court system. Right? I would have gone to the senior police at the time as advised. So, because the police didn't, I was trying to get the reports from the station diary and they say I need to go to the senior police, which I did. Wrote to him requesting certain station diary statements that would have taken place. And I had to acquire the form through the Freedom of Information Act to get that information. And I got some of the reports from the police. Like the initial report I made when she pulled the knife the first time. I didn't get a report for the stolen items. And I got the report when the police came the day and investigated and so forth. But another report, I didn't get to submit that into evidence. I submitted some documents into evidence. But the report that the police took when they came the day when she attacked me with a knife, I did not get to submit that because the judge said that I don't have a police receipt for it. For the others, I would have gone to the station and got the police receipt in reference to the report.
So the receipt is absolutely vital.
Apparently.
If you have to stand a chance.
Yes, I thought that because I wrote to the senior police and I had copies of the receipts, and because that one was in relation to the incident, that I would have gotten it as well. But apparently I needed a receipt for that vital one. So I was not able to submit that into evidence. Eventually, while trying to defend myself, I told the judge that, I had a job to do at some point in time, a graphics job on my computer, and I asked her for my computer, and she told me find another way to make money. And the judge was surprised by that, and the judge questioned her, because she denied everything that she did to me in court. And the judge asked her, do you have the gentleman's computer? And she said, well, I have a computer somewhere there. And the judge said, well, right, return it to him by August XY date, drop it at your lawyer's office. And that's the only item I got back. And when I got back, it was like rusted and parts that I could use.
Yeah.
But I was able to repair it and start to do one or two things from there. I was trying to figure out how do I make money, because when you survive these things and you have such an economic downfall, you're trying to figure out how you climb back up. You need finances, you need money, right? And I couldn't do other stuff that I was doing to make money. It was just my main job. So I decided, I think I'm gonna make punch and sell. But I didn't have anything. And I bounced up a very good friend of mine in court sometime when I was window shopping, and he's like, today's your lucky day. Pick an item. Obviously somebody make that offer, you can't go overboard.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, do I get a fridge? If I get a fridge, I could store stuff, but I can't make money from the fridge. Do I get a magic bullet? Because I used to make punch with a magic bullet, one bottle at a time. I said, if I get the magic bullet, I can figure it out. And he bought me the magic bullet, and I went home and I sit down and I watch it, and I'm like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna buy a bag of ice, we're gonna buy ingredients, we're gonna blend it, put in ice, and then put the ice in a pot and put the punch to get cold until they go in work.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I started back selling punch one by one. That was my routine. That was my routine.
Yeah.
This is how I'm making extra money, to try and buy things, to try and buy stuff. And it reached a point in the case where a lawyer was attached to my case, and we made some headway. And I asked the judge if she filed for a maintenance order. And I said, if I pay this, will I get access to my child? And the judge said it doesn't work that way. I said, well, I don't want my child to be without, so I'll pay the maintenance order until I get the funds to do the paternity test. And okay, so I started paying money every month towards my son, even though I wasn't getting to see him. And it was extremely difficult to find that 2005 to do that. And it was like, I had to foot the bill. I never brought into question whether it's my son or not. I believe it was my son. She brought it into question knowing that it would trigger XYZ and I would be denied access until I could get it done.
What is XYZ?
Meaning, the court will not give me access until I get that done. Right? Filing the maintenance order was another attack on me because I grew up with all my father and he would have to pay money through the court. I never wanted that system if I had children. Right? Because as an entrepreneur, you know, you want to do stuff with your money before it comes out of your hand. That's the way I think.
Yeah.
Like, use my money, flip it, and then when the bill dates reach, then I pay the bills. But as I said, she wanted to do everything to crush me or my finances to make sure I cannot provide.
Yeah, I hear you.
She had told me this on the phone. I wanted to get locked up if you can't pay. Yeah, these are the things that would have been said to me. So me knowing that in my head, she already knew I didn't grow up with my father and you deny me access to my son. You know my father had to pay money through the court. You want me to pay money through the court to disrupt my finances, all right? To keep me away from my son. Said, okay. It took me like a year plus, or no, under a year, eventually. And I was able to muster up the funds and did it. And it came back 99.9. And then I got access to my son.
So after a year, you finally had an opportunity to spend time with him.
To get access, I wanted like every Sunday.
Yeah.
I filed for that. And with the test coming back in my favor, I got the access that I needed.
So it took a whole lot of steps for you to just have a normal experience.
Yes.
Or a somewhat normal experience. Years out, or a few years out, because this would have been 2020.
2020.
Right? And
Yeah.
we're now in 2024. Have things balanced out? How do you operate now? That is a bit different from then.
Well, I thought that when I got access, things would have immediately improved to some point, but it triggered and went downhill even there and then. She would tactically find ways to deny me access. Like I will reach, like I have a set time to reach and a set time to drop him back. And if I reach 6 minutes late, she would say, at 6 minutes late, you can't get him. And I would go to the station and make a report. And the police would say, the first time they said, well, we can't do anything. You need to have the right order, the court order on you, which I didn't have, for them to act. And then the next time I went down with the order, I was like, some other excuse. And I was like, wow. This is the next grind. I survive XYZ. I'm just going to keep going and fighting until, when I say fighting, doing the right thing legally to make sure I have proper access to my son.
Do you feel like the court, the police, legal system, etc., works against men? Because I am taking from your story that there were a lot of hoops that you had to jump through.
I would say there's some sort of bias where women are favored. The thing is, I like how the court system is there to make sure that parents do what they need to do, right? My issue is when persons find ways to abuse the court system to their advantage, right? To try and break people, right? I would say the eagerness to help me, it wasn't really there. There was no, wasn't, hey, let me move, So I just had to do whatever I had to do, go back to the courts, case going on and on and on and on and on. And then eventually things did get better. When she filed to the court stating that I don't come to pick up my son, I drop him back early, she made some false claims to the court and I had to appear. And I had to set the record straight and reveal things to the judge. And the judge saw that she was basically perjuring herself and she made a false filing and made rulings in my favor, where probation officer was attached to the case, would go in and do interviews, they would come at the home and interview us with the with my son, and things got better from there. There was a turning point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a turning point there.
So
And
things went
yeah,
in your favor at
Yes.
least a little bit.
yes, eventually it did go in my favor, and it's in better standing now.
Okay. So what are some of the things that you would have liked that you would have liked to see happen in a situation like yours? From the standing point of assistance, help, or even, support.
I would say from the get-go, when I got attacked with a knife, there are no shelters for men. Nothing was offered to me. Right? The police did mention to me that, if I stay after what transpired, she could cause harm to herself and make a false report. I took that serious. I mean, I didn't plan to stay, but, they tried to help me in a sense.
Yeah.
But the full support, it wasn't there. I wasn't offered any counseling, any therapy. It was just, okay, all right, So I don't know. I know presently that there are people who are trapped in abusive relationships. Women, our women and our children are more vulnerable. They are the ones that's being met to. So we have to have that focus on them. But there are men that are going through abuse and they are suffering in silence. So I would say people should, no matter who you are, check on your brother, check on your friend, check on your nephew, check on your father. You never know what they're going through and where are the outlets for men to come and discuss these things and to get help to work through what they're going through. Because I would have suffered psychological, mental, physical, financial abuse, violence, everything. I experienced it all. And you just had to cope some way, somehow, and rise above it.
Did you ever receive any sort of counseling or personally
I
went and tried to get it or anything like that?
I was recommended by a colleague to FPAT, Family Planning Association of Trinidad and Tobago, for a mediation course that they were doing online. And I filed what I need to file and I started it. I did it. And it was an eye-opener to me to understand more in depth about domestic violence and so forth. And also, they did offer therapy for us after that because the topics we discussed were very deep. And I did have therapy session. And it was helpful. And I would say now I would have identified that boundaries is one of my main issues because I'm a very loving, caring, inviting person. Nobody I invite into my space has ever taken it for granted or done something to that degree. That never happened to me before. So if you don't have the experience, you wouldn't know until you experience it. So I would say I was naive. But now I'm more protective of my boundaries.
Okay. So now, I know that this experience would have taught you some lessons. What are some things that you would have learned and what are some things that you would consider as green flags going forward?
I would have learned to obviously protect my boundaries. Be more mindful of who you invite into your personal space. Same difference. I got to learn that the individual I dealt with is a personality type and it's referred to as a covert narcissist.
Oh.
So you have narcissistic people and covert narcissistic. Keyword covert, undercover. So they hide who they truly are and then at some point in time, something will happen and they will reveal their true nature. When that happens, you up and go, you do not look back.
Oh.
When that happens, right? I would say taking care of my mental health compared to the past and now, I'm ridiculous when it comes to my mental health and my space and my time and having access to me. To this day, okay, we have a child, but that person is blocked on all social media and even on WhatsApp. Contact me via normal call, text, or email. And I told the court that. That's me protecting my space. That's me having boundaries, right? I would say green flags.
As to how you would approach relationships going forward now, knowing what you know now.
I would say in courting, being more mindful of what you choose to share. It's not like you're hiding things from people, but in-depth experience, some things you want to hold until you feel like it reached that time where you could open up I would say try and identify if the person is a builder or a breaker. For me, it was difficult because I said it was a covert narcissist. It would give you the illusion of they're a builder, right? But you wouldn't know until things go south.
Yeah.
Right?
You're giving me a top 4, eh?
Yeah.
So that's 2.
Also, I would say, is the person emotionally intelligent? Have they dealt with their trauma and the childhood trauma? Have they dealt with actually acute or chronic trauma? Because you have 2 different types. So you know that if you're going to get involved with any person, that they would have dealt with it, so they won't project it into the relationship. Right? What number reach? Number 4, I would say if you're getting involved, make sure that you have you're financially in a good space, because not everybody have the financial freedom that they desire, but you're financially in a good space and you have your backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I have this 10% principle that I practice, where 10% of all the money I earn, it belongs to me. I'll put that aside and stack it. And then when it reaches a certain level, I would invest it. I would flip it and put it back and keep adding to it, besides whatever regular savings I may have. Or yeah.
All right. I think that is very insightful. And thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm very sure not only that men would benefit from this type of conversation, but I think it's something that we all can look at and possibly even see ourselves in it, or see where this may have happened to people around you.
Yeah.
Yeah? So Tiffano, mind you, I know that this conversation may have been a little somber, but Tiffano is normally bouncing off the wall with energy and normally smiling. And I know for a lot of us that know you might say, this is a different side to what we have grown accustomed to.
Yes.
It
is. And when I was contacted concerning this, I felt like I kept it in my close circle would know what would have transpired. I'm now officially making it public.
Yeah.
And for me, if what I say, if my experience could impact one life in a positive way and save one life, I would feel like, yes, sharing my story was worth it. It's important. If I could just impact one life and save one life, I would say mission accomplished. If I impact more, yeah, but I just one. If it could just be one, because I was in a position I could be like, if somebody could just appear and save me, that would be great, And I would like to share with you one of my main affirmation that I try to say every day and I share with people. I am an unstoppable force. I am a mountain of love. Peace is a priority for me. I am drawn to what is pure and good for my spirit. I will achieve every goal I have set. I will be great.
Yeah. Awesome. That's an amazing affirmation.
Yeah.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we found ourselves to the end of this interview. I hope that you all have enjoyed this process and enjoyed all that was said. And I hope that it truly makes an impact in the life of another person. So as I usually say every week, stay tenaciously resolute, and you have a fantastic week ahead. Take care.
Peace.